Two people buy homes in the same year. The first chooses a 2,700 square foot house in a quiet suburban cul-de-sac outside Dallas. 3-car garage. Granite kitchen island. A living room large enough to hold a $3,200 sectional couch and a 75-inch TV. The mortgage payment is $3,250 a month. Property taxes add another $940. Insurance, maintenance, lawn service, repairs. The true cost of the house quietly rises to about $4,600 every month. At first, it feels like success. Neighbors admire it. Family visits and compliments the space. But something else grows inside the house. Pressure. Every month the same obligation returns. $4,600. Again, and again, and again. Now imagine the second person. Same year, same city. But he buys a 950 square foot duplex unit 15 minutes away. Nothing glamorous. Plain brick building. Small kitchen, shared driveway. His car is a 2012 Toyota Camry with 138,000 miles on it. But the duplex has something interesting. 2 doors, he lives in one unit. The other unit rents for $1,450 a month. The mortgage on the entire property is $1,620. After taxes and insurance, his housing cost becomes almost nothing. Some months it is $200, some months it is $0. 5 years later, both people are still working, but their lives feel completely different. The first person earns $185,000 a year. A good income, but his lifestyle consumes almost all of it. Mortgage, SUV payment, private school tuition, Amazon boxes arriving every other day. His bank account grows slowly. His stress grows quickly. Now look at the second person. He earns $78,000 a year, less than half the salary. But his monthly expenses are radically smaller. Housing, almost $0. Car, paid off. Baseline cost of living, about $3,400 a month. Then something interesting happens. His small investments begin producing income. A rental payment here, a few $100s from a digital product, some dividend payments. Eventually, those streams reach $3,600 per month. At that moment, something profound changes. He is not rich, he does not own a mansion, but he no longer needs permission to live his life. If he quits his job tomorrow, his bills are still covered. 2 people, one earns more, the other has more freedom. This is the quiet paradox of modern money. Income does not create freedom, margin does. Most people chase the wrong target. They chase a higher salary, a promotion, a bigger house, but every upgrade quietly increases the amount of money required just to stay alive. Lifestyle expands, obligations expand, and freedom moves further away. Financial freedom does not begin when your income explodes. It begins the moment your required cost of living becomes small enough to escape. Most people never reach that point, not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack opportunity, but because society trains them to measure wealth in the wrong units. Square footage, horsepower, brand names, possessions. But the real unit of wealth is something else entirely. Choice. The ability to walk away. The ability to say no. The ability to decide what you do tomorrow morning. And every purchase you make quietly trades one thing for another. Not just money for an object, but freedom for ownership. Most people think wealth is measured by accumulation. A bigger house, a newer car, more things filling the rooms. But minimalists and financially free people measure wealth differently. They measure it in optionality, the ability to choose, the ability to walk away from a job that damages your mental health, the ability to take 6 months off when a parent gets sick, the ability to move across the country because an opportunity appears, the ability to start something new without needing immediate income. Those choices are the real form of wealth, and those choices only exist when there is a large gap between income and lifestyle. A person earning $220,000 a year but spending $210,000 has almost no freedom. Every paycheck is already spoken for. Mortgage, car payments, subscriptions, insurance, private school tuition, property tax, vacation debt from last summer. The salary looks impressive on paper, but the margin is microscopic. Now imagine someone earning $80,000 a year, but their living costs are $40,000. They save and invest the other $40,000. They don't look wealthy, but they are building something far more powerful. Time, flexibility, control. Every purchase quietly trades one thing for another. Not just money for an object, but optionality for ownership. Sometimes that trade is worth it. Most of the time, it isn't. Walk into the average suburban garage in America. you will often find something like this: a $4,000 carbon fiber mountain bike hanging from the wall, a $1,200 Peloton bike sitting unused, a pair of $700 skis bought during a winter trip to Colorado, camping gear still in the box from last year's Black Friday sale. None of these purchases felt irrational at the time. Each one promised a better version of life, more adventure, better health, more memories. But the math quietly tells a different story. Take the mountain bike. It cost $4,000. The owner rode it 6 times before life became busy again. The cost per ride becomes $4,000, $6 rides equals $667 per ride. Now look at the Peloton. Price, $1,200. Monthly subscription, $44. After 3 years, the total cost becomes $1,200 plus $44 times 36 equals $2,784. If it was used twice a month for those 3 years, 72 workouts. Cost per workout, $2,784 divided by $72 equals $38.66 per ride. But most Pelotons don't reach those numbers. Many become expensive clothing racks. The real problem isn't the price of the object. It's what the object does to your financial baseline, because every fixed expense raises the amount of money required just to maintain your life. And the higher your baseline becomes, the harder freedom becomes to reach. Consider housing. The average new suburban home in America today is roughly 2,600 square feet. Mortgage payment, $3,200 per month. Property tax, $900 per month. Maintenance averages, $500 per month. Total housing cost, $4,600 every month. Over 30 years, that house consumes roughly $1.65 million. Now compare that to someone living in a 900 square foot duplex unit. Their tenant covers most of the mortgage. Their housing cost becomes almost zero. That single decision doesn't just save money, it reshapes the entire timeline of financial freedom. Because the path to freedom is not determined by how much you earn. It is determined by how expensive your life is allowed to become. A person with $8,000 in monthly expenses needs income streams generating $96,000 a year. A person with $4,000 in monthly expenses only needs $48,000 a year. Cut the lifestyle in half. Cut the difficulty of freedom in half. This is the quiet leverage most people never see. They focus on earning more, but the fastest way to freedom is often needing less. Financial freedom rarely collapses because of intelligence. It collapses because of behavior. People know the rules, they just don't follow them long enough. The people who actually reach financial independence tend to follow a small set of simple rules. Not complicated, but brutally consistent. Rule 1, know your survival number, not the lifestyle number, not the upgraded version of your life. The real baseline: housing, transportation, food, insurance, utilities. For many Americans, this number sits somewhere between $3,000 and $4,500 a month. Until you know that number, every financial goal is vague. Once you know it, the target becomes concrete. Freedom is no longer a dream. It becomes a math problem. Rule 2, attack fixed expenses first. Subscriptions matter, but subscriptions are not the real enemy. The real enemies are the big 3. Housing, transportation, lifestyle inflation. If your housing costs $4,500 a month, cutting Netflix will not save you. If your car costs $1,050 a month, skipping coffee will not move the needle. Small cuts feel productive, but big cuts change the timeline. Rule 3, housing determines your timeline. Housing is usually 30–40% of an American household budget. Lower that number and everything else accelerates. House hacking, downsizing, moving to a lower-cost city, renting a room, living slightly below your social circle. None of these decisions feel glamorous, but mathematically, they are nuclear weapons. A person paying $4,600 a month for housing needs vastly more income than someone paying $600. That difference compounds every single month. Rule 4, never finance depreciating toys. Cars, boats, jet skis, luxury furniture, designer upgrades. The moment you finance a depreciating object, you create a financial parasite. The object loses value, but the payment remains. A $70,000 truck loan often turns into $950 monthly payment, $220 insurance, $250 fuel. More than $1,400 every month just to keep it moving. That is $16,800 a year. Invested instead at historical market returns, that single payment could grow into hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. Rule 5. Your job funds the escape. Many people hate their jobs, but they misunderstand the role of the job. The job is not the prison. The job is the fuel source. It pays the bills. It buys time. It finances the transition toward something scalable. Without that fuel, the transition becomes far harder. So the job stays, at least for a while. Rule 6. Build scalable income. There are only two categories of income in the world: linear income and scalable income. Linear income trades time for money. 40 hours worked, 40 hours paid. Stop working, income stops. Scalable income behaves differently. You create something once, and it produces income repeatedly. Examples include digital products, content libraries, software, royalties, outcome-based consulting, assets that continue generating value long after the initial effort. This is where freedom usually begins. Rule 7. Systems beat motivation. Motivation is emotional. Systems are mechanical. Motivation disappears when you are tired. Systems continue running. Automatic investing, automatic bill payments, scheduled work sessions, pre-planned spending limits remove the decision. The behavior continues automatically. Rule 8. Consistency beats intensity. Many people attempt financial change the way they attempt diets. 2 weeks of extreme discipline, then collapse. Financial independence rarely comes from dramatic bursts of effort. It comes from quiet repetition over years. Saving every month, learning every week, building income streams every night after work. The compounding appears slow at first, then suddenly overwhelming. Most people quit just before that moment. The people who succeed simply stayed longer. Something strange happens as people accumulate more things. They assume life will feel easier, more comfortable, more convenient, but the opposite often happens. Life becomes heavier, not physically, mentally. Every possession creates responsibility. Every object adds a small, invisible demand on your attention. The car needs maintenance. The larger house needs repairs. The gym equipment needs to be justified. The storage boxes need to be organized. Subscriptions renew, bills arrive, insurance policies increase. These micro-decisions accumulate, and the brain pays the cost. Psychologists call this decision fatigue. Every day the human brain makes thousands of small decisions. What to wear, what to eat, what to respond to, what to ignore. When you add dozens of financial obligations on top of that, the brain begins operating under constant pressure. One of the biological markers of this pressure is cortisol. Cortisol is the body's stress hormone. Research from UCLA studying American households found something surprising. People living in cluttered homes showed significantly higher cortisol levels throughout the day. Not during emergencies, not during crises, just during normal life. More possessions meant more visual noise, more unfinished tasks, more reminders of obligations, more subtle stress. Minimalism is often misunderstood as an aesthetic movement. White walls, empty shelves, clean lines. But the real benefit has nothing to do with aesthetics. It has to do with cognitive load. When your life contains fewer financial obligations, your brain processes fewer threats, fewer payments, fewer deadlines, fewer responsibilities attached to objects. That mental clarity becomes incredibly valuable. Because building financial freedom requires focus. You need mental space to learn skills, to think clearly, to make long-term decisions. A person drowning in lifestyle obligations rarely has that space. They are constantly reacting, constantly paying, constantly maintaining. The irony is painful. People buy more things hoping life will feel easier, but the more they accumulate, the harder their life becomes to maintain, and the heavier their financial baseline grows, which makes freedom even further away. Financial freedom rarely appears through dramatic change. It usually begins with quiet structural adjustments. Week 1, calculate your baseline cost of existence. Not lifestyle spending, not vacation spending, just the essentials. Housing, transportation, food, insurance, utilities. The number might surprise you. For many Americans, it falls somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 per month. This number becomes your target, not $1 million, not early retirement, just covering this baseline through investments and scalable income. Month 1, audit your financial life. Look for obligations that quietly drain money every month. Streaming services, unused subscriptions, impulse purchases arriving in Amazon boxes, gym memberships used twice a year. None of these individually destroy finances, but together they quietly inflate the baseline. Cancel what adds no real value. Reduce what can be reduced. Month 3, remove dormant assets. Walk through your garage, closet, storage space. You will likely find thousands of dollars in unused objects. Electronics collecting dust, Outdoor gear from a hobby that lasted 3 weeks. Furniture sitting unused, sell them. Not because the cash matters, but because the habit matters. You are replacing accumulation with intentional ownership. Month 6, start building a scalable income project. Not a perfect idea, not a flawless business plan, just something. A small YouTube channel, a niche newsletter, a digital guide, solving a problem you understand. Consulting in a skill you already possess. Most projects produce almost nothing at first. That is normal. Skills compound slowly before they compound rapidly. Year 2, your new income streams might cover 25 to 40% of your baseline expenses. Not freedom yet, but momentum appears. Your job still exists, but it becomes less powerful over your life. Year 5, if consistency remains, something dramatic happens. The combined income from investments, assets, and scalable projects begins covering 100% of your baseline living costs. At that moment, your relationship with work permanently changes. You are no longer working because survival requires it. You are working because you choose to. Most people unknowingly enter a destructive financial loop. They earn more, their lifestyle expands. Higher mortgage, newer car, more subscriptions. Their expenses rise with their income, which means the pressure never disappears. The higher salary simply feeds the larger lifestyle. Freedom remains distant. Others build the opposite cycle. They lower their baseline, which reduces the amount of income required to live, which allows them to save and invest more aggressively, which builds assets, which produces income, which lowers their dependence on a job, which increases their freedom. 2 cycles, both compounding, but in opposite directions. Most people measure wealth through accumulation, the size of the house, the number of cars, the visible symbols of success. But financially free people measure wealth differently. They measure it by optionality, the ability to choose, the ability to leave a job that damages their mental health, the ability to take time off when family needs them, the ability to move across the country for an opportunity, the ability to pursue work that feels meaningful instead of mandatory. Those choices are the real form of wealth, and they only exist when there is a wide gap between income and lifestyle. A person earning $200,000 but spending $195,000 has almost no freedom. Every paycheck already has a destination, but a person earning $70,000 while spending $40,000 possesses something far more powerful. Margin, time, control. Every purchase quietly trades one thing for another, not just money for an object, but optionality for ownership. Sometimes that trade is worth it. Most of the time it is not. 2 apartments exist in the same city, one filled with possessions, the other filled with margin. Both lifestyles are available at almost any income level. The difference is not luck. The difference is choice.